to the Sunnyside podcast. Today I am joined by Peter Mills. He is the Managing Director of IT Support and Security. They are an MSP based in England. I'm going to let Peter introduce himself. Hello, Peter. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad, thank you. Yeah, I'm all good. We're an MSP based in Cranley, focus on businesses kind of 5 to 50, IT support, cybersecurity, and obviously now getting to the joys of AI and automation.
Nice. Well, we're going to unpack it all today, Peter. So, obviously, we've had a conversation before, so I kind of know a little bit about kind of your background, your journey, and what's kind of led you to this point, please, sir.
Sure. I mean, I started in IT, kind of went to university, didn't really enjoy it. Ended up working at HP in their non-techie centre, logging and flogging tickets when people had broken printers and stuff. Got bored and started fixing stuff, which kind of moved on to a proper technical career. Spent about 10 years in internal IT in various ways, some fun stuff in defence and travel and stuff. And then I turned to what I call the dark side and moved to the joys of the MSP world. And I spent the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years doing that. Worked in some small ones, some big ones, some good ones, some bad ones, and then decided, you know what, I've always wanted to have my own. So I managed to acquire ISS in April 2024. And since then, we've kind of rebranded, we've developed our services, and hopefully if we hit our targets this year, we'll double inside in the last couple of years as well.
Nice. Well, that's handy. So,
Mm.
you, so we're going to unpack that a little bit more, but there's a few things you said. So you've mentioned, you've worked with some good MSPs and some bad MSPs.
Don't ask for names, though.
Without
Don't ask for
naming
names.
names, could you kind of summarize what was good and what was bad about these MSPs and what you've kind of taken from that and deployed into your business?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, it all came down to culture for your people and culture for the customers.
Yeah.
And effectively, I think it's a case of just making sure, the old phrase, treat people how you want to be treated, and we try really hard at that at the end of the day. And so some of the things we do, for example, is we don't tie customers in for long contracts and stuff. So our customers stand by the performance of what we did yesterday. And then we don't have to say, well, we messed it up, but you're stuck with us for another year at least. It's all good, don't worry about it. That element of it, things, it's being honest and open and transparent. So, for example, our website, all our services are on there. Our pricing's on there. At the end of the day, it's completely transparent. Everybody can see what we do and what we charge, etc. And nothing changes. There's no hidden extras and stuff. It's just honesty and transparency and trying to deliver a great service. We have a marketing. One of our values is, and my marketing person hates this, but I insisted, eat your own dog food. So we literally do not sell anything we don't use ourselves internally to support our own business at the end of the day. We sell the laptops and PCs that we use. We sell the software we use, the platforms we use. Everything is as we would use it, and we use ourselves as guinea pigs before anything goes out to the customers at the end of the day. So it's those sorts of things, really. It's not about making a fast buck and killing the next sale and those sorts of things. It's long-term relationships. ISS has been going before me for since 1992, I want to
Wow.
say, and the
Yeah.
previous owner. My hope and expectation is that it'll go on way, way beyond me. So yeah.
Interesting. So, what would you say the second order consequences are of bad culture inside of a company then?
Bad profitability is probably going to be the obvious one
Yeah.
at the end of the day. You spend a lot of time firefighting and trying to deal with issues and fix things that could have been fixed beforehand, and you only have to do it once, I suppose. If you've got to fix it after it's happened, you've got to fix it with 5 customers, 10 customers, whatever it is, and the time and energy that goes into that it is massive at the end of the day. I think the elements of looking after your people and trying to look after them and kind of set the standard of, there's nothing I wouldn't do myself within the business. You'll find me sometimes I delve into the tickets, see what's going on, help the guys if it gets really busy. If there's something really tricky, I haven't been at the coalface for a little while, but we still band ideas around effectively as to what it could be, etc. I go out and see the customers and make sure that they're kind of happy, work with Ant, who kind of does the main things from account management. So for me, it's also about making sure I don't do anything or don't ask him to do anything I wouldn't do myself within the business.
I think so. Yeah, I think that is important. So, your role then, what do you actually spend your time doing? What's kind of like I assume that every day is slightly different, but you must have a bit of like a structure. Like, okay, I leave this one to Peter.
I do all the jobs nobody else wants to do,
Oh, nice.
effectively in the business. So I do all the administration, the finance. I'm a bit of technical escalation, project planning, I help the tech guys with some of the scoping of the projects, etc. I spend time going through the queues of all the guys, make sure everything's being processed in the right way, and obviously a big part of his strategy is what we're doing tomorrow. At the end of the day, what's the next thing? A big part of that towards the back end of last year, we're just getting into now is kind of our AI and automation services, and we've just kind of launched those. So I'm now starting to go out and see our customers, talk to those about it, and actually giving them examples, real life demos of what the technology can do for you. And again, following our value of eating our own dog food, how we've used it inside our own business at the end of the day, and how it's helped us and helped us be efficient and effective, etc.
Interesting. Could you share some real life examples, or are they a bit of a deep dark secret, or like kind of
No.
so do you just kind of fix processes and streamline and automate things, or is there something a bit more complex than that?
So I've always been involved in like business systems at various points. I've not just been a kind of an infrastructure techie and things. And the first thing, we literally went to a customer 2 weeks ago, and we sat down with them for a bit of a kind of a sample workshop, and we just went through their business and said, right, talk to us about your business. We went through the process of their business, and we found it's a real simple one. It's something that I've seen time and time again, which is that someone sits there and manually types in the invoices, effectively for their customers. And this is I don't know,
Yeah.
20, 30 million pound of turnover business stuff. So they get a lot of invoices, etc. So, okay, well, how do those come in then? Like, well, they come in via email. I say, okay. And they go where? And they go, well, they go to this piece of software. And it's not a normal finance bit of software. It's very sector specific for them. And so I said, okay, well, let's look at that. Have they got an API? Techies amongst us know what that is, but it's a way of integrating
Yeah, yeah.
tool A to tool B and stuff. And I said, yeah, okay, fair. So we said, here you go, send me some of those invoices as a sample, and they did. So I said, here you go, Copilot, read those invoices from such and such, put them into an Excel for me, capture customer, product, quantity, blah, 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 blah. Yep, there you go, there's an Excel. Great, now we've got that, we can use Power in Microsoft to actually use the API effectively to then update your system with that information. And they went, wow.
Right.
So yeah, a little bit of development time in this, etc. It's not going to have no much. So, but how long does that take someone? Well, we probably have someone that spends half their day every day doing that sort of stuff and things. It's like, so how much
Yeah.
time and energy is that going to spend for you actually? So it's a combination. This is why I always pair them closely together with AI and automation at the end of the day. Automation's been around forever. AI just makes it a bit easier and a bit smoother effectively, and the joys of vibe coding and all that sort of stuff. So that's a really, really simplistic one from just, and it's one I see honestly time and time again is people not even, my view is you should never have to type information into a computer that's been on a piece of paper at the end of the day. You should never have to double key things into systems. Everything should flow seamlessly. I've worked really hard at ISS over the last 18 months, 2 years since I got involved, modernising our own systems and stuff. So literally from the point in time we put in an initial contact with the customer, through to them signing up, through to them creating an agreement, through to the support desk and projects, and then invoicing, and then payment methods via direct debit. That's once. They get information goes in once, effectively. And we add bits to it, like what products they've got, services, etc. But it just goes through once, effectively. That's all tied together throughout. And again, the aim is to make us as efficient as possible. And now we want to take those lessons out to the customers as well.
Absolutely. Well, that I think that's a good way to be. So are you kind of going to market as like an AI person, or are you just kind of working with your current like managed services clients and just saying like we can add more value here, like if you would like, or are you actually like selling on the front end, like yeah, we'll do AI for you?
No, so it's to us it's an add-on service in there, because
Okay,
to
yeah,
do it and to use it properly, you've got to make sure your IT is in a decent place in the first place. Data security, compliance, all that other good stuff. It's really, really boring, but it's really, really important. So you have to do that. So it's an add-on service. You have to be one of our support customers effectively to be able to do those things with us at the end of the day. So we don't try and tout it as like a way to drag new people in. Maybe we should, but the more the focus is on the right result at the end. But what we then go to those people with is, we then kind of look at their businesses and how we can help them do those things and use those tools, etc. Even to the extent of people realising they can use Copilot for as simple as like searching through their massive inbox with 5,000 things to find a particular email from such and such or whatever it is. So it's just kind of starting to educate people around what the technology is capable of. Because I don't see AI as being was going to say anything special. It is a little bit special, but it's just a new technology to take advantage of as a business at the end of the day. And being old, although not quite as old, I call it the third industrial revolution. You had steam, you then had the internet, and effectively now you've got
Really?
AI.
Really?
Well, the industrial revolution, the first industrial was steam. It's when real manufacturing, etc., really kind of hit, certainly in the north and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So that was a big game changer. Suddenly you had people making stuff with machines. The internet meant you could basically sell it everywhere and anywhere and find it everywhere and anywhere. And now AI is adding that intelligence layer where we, quite frankly, don't have to think so much. We can actually focus on things we can use our brains really for and add real value to it. And actually, we can take the noddy stuff away and the things whereby effectively you're just repeating process and repeating analysis, etc. AI is great for, we get a big invoice in from our Microsoft distributor every month, effectively. AI picks through it for us effectively and tells us what's changed, what's gone up, what's got down, and so we can make sure that we've captured that and looked at that and made sure it's in our PSA CRM system for billing, etc. So it's things like that where you can really make good use of it. We've got an accounts mailbox ourselves, effectively, where invoices come in, statements come in, queries from customers come in, etc., etc. And we've got an AI agent now that sits in the cloud as part of Microsoft Copilot Studio, effectively, and it looks at that invoice and it applies logic to those things that come in. And if it understands it can do it, it will forward the invoices onto our finance system. It forwards the statement of accounts onto our accountant. If there's a query from a customer, it creates a ticket in our PSA. Or forwards it on to create a ticket. So it's those sorts of things. We don't have to think about it anymore. The initial touch
Just
point is
handy.
done and dusted. And shortly we're going to be getting to the realms of, and I'm sure some of the MSPs out there are already doing it. Why have you done that yet? Of using AI interactions with customers, prioritizing tickets, understanding tickets, giving options for text for tickets, everything. And then eventually, and probably, within the next 6-9 months, where initial touch points, AI will look at the ticket and go, have I got enough information here to either make a suggestion or I have to ask them some questions as to what the issue is so I can make sure the text got the right information. And so, yeah, we're kind of currently working on that in the background as well.
I think that's really good. I mean, on that topic, do you think that the hype around AI is more than the actual value of AI? Because obviously it's a bit of a buzzword. I'm sure that you've got loads of people, like loads of clients who are saying like, how can we implement AI, Peter? Like, what can you do for me? Just because they've heard it on Facebook or whatever.
Yeah, but it's a bit like cloud. When cloud was around the things, it's like, we want to move to cloud. Do you know what cloud
Yeah.
is? Not really. And it's the same thing with AI. A lot of stuff people are bandying around as AI is just machine learning or an add-on to a bit of software development with some logic built into it. There's very few compared to what's out there being marketed of true AI tools, if that makes any sense. But that said, I do think it's a game-changing technology. I do think it's going to change the world for in many ways over the next 5-10 years, and it's only accelerating. But the same was true of the internet and cloud when it came around. That said, around the whole buzz and are there bubbles and things, I think every time there's been some form of generational shift in technology, and again going back to my stupid industrial revolution, cloud, and now AI, I think there's been a burst of a bubble at some point in time. There was one around the internet when it first came around in the, all showing my age now, early 2000s or whatever it was, and I'm sure there was lots of businessmen and women back in the day, probably not women back in the day, but in the industrial revolution,
Yeah.
who went bust because their business didn't work and they hadn't
100%.
really thought it through, etc. I imagine there's going to be some bit of a bubble, but the technology is still going to be there. It's still going to be a massive game changer for businesses in the way the internet and cloud was. So yeah.
Do you think it's going to change how you guys or MSPs, let's be more general, actually like operate and how they hire and how their actual team will be set up, and what, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it absolutely will. I mean, it's going to get to a point. I mean, we focus on that 5 to 50, so that's kind of behind the curve to some
Yeah.
extent, technologically speaking. But absolutely, it's going to become a point, and it's already there to some extent, where people are going to go, rather than phoning the text, I'll go Copilot or ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever platform you particularly like using. Effectively, how do I do this on my computer? Why is my Outlook crashing? What's going on with this, etc. So my expectation is it's probably going to reduce that kind of tier one sort of initial incident level ticket, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
We're still going to have elements of all the service requesty stuff, the joiners, movers, leavers, changes, etc. But again, we're working hard to automate those and things and make those interactions almost contactless, effectively, so our techs don't have to do anything. And actually, that aim should then allow us to be more proactive, whereby we're looking at what the customer's doing, how they're doing it, and again, going into my ITIL world, because I love a bit of ITIL at the end of the day, the problem management, the root cause analysis is what could the customer be doing better, and being much more proactive. I think there's a lot of MSPs that struggle to get beyond the reactive sometimes to focus on the proactive, and that's really where your customers start to see the benefit.
That's a good point actually. I think a lot of people try to kind of move to the proactive side of things, but like you said, yeah, I think that's fair enough. So I want to talk a little bit about kind of you obviously didn't actually found ISS, you acquired it. So could we talk
Mm.
about the acquisition, how you found it, what took it over?
Yeah, I mean, people think buying a house is stressful.
Yeah,
Buying a business is a whole other level. So yeah, I've been, as I said, I've been in big MSPs and small MSPs, and I've been in and around acquisitions. I've been kind of the ops director, lead, whatever it is, as far as actually doing the integration of the teams or how we're going to build that into the business, etc. And I knew how the money worked, but the stupid phrase I've got is, but I didn't know how the money worked.
interesting.
And so I worked at one who that was his one guy's job was to find businesses to acquire and build into the company. And I met a networking thing. I met a finance guy once. We sat down, we were having a coffee, and we ended up talking about it. And I said to him, "So could I do that then? Could I borrow some money?" And he's like, "Yeah, I could probably get you £1 million." And I was like, "I've got to pay that back, though, right?" He's like, "Yes, yes, you have to pay that back." And off the back of that, it kind of sparked an idea. I did some work around, what sort of financing could I put in place, what cash can I pull together, etc. It kind of gave me a budget of where I needed to be, and then I started looking. I was very keen to work with, smaller businesses. That 550, I love it. They, you can help them so much. It's very much more a relationship basis rather than the commercial basis, etc. And ISS was actually literally around the corner from an MSP I'd literally been working at until very, very recently. And I knew Anthony, who was the founder and the owner, etc. We chatted a little bit via kind of LinkedIn Messenger during the whole COVID thing. And I sent him and many other people a message and stuff, and he said, "Let's have a coffee." And we had a coffee. And I think we hit it off. He'd always said he wanted to get out by a certain time as far as the owner was concerned. But it was more important to him that he sold it to someone who cared about it as much as he did, and his team and his customers as much as possible, rather than just how much money he could get for it at the end of the day. So yeah, I think we ended up doing the deal in about 7 months. I think from the point in time we actually
Not
said
bad.
yes and stuff. So yeah, we did manage to do it pretty fast. It was quite frustrating at times, both for Anthony and I, and there were times we sometimes drafted out just a piece of A4 which said, "I, Peter, agreed to buy ISS," and
Yeah,
etc. But I was advised by solicitors that was a bad idea, so we went down the proper route instead.
interesting. So what have been the key kind of changes from when you took it over? Did you have a real kind of restructure, or have you kind of kept it like didn't rock the boat too much?
No, it was very important to me, kind of certainly for the first year or so, that the customers didn't feel the difference
Yeah,
as much as possible at the end of the day. So we still kept the same branding. We have rebranded now, but we kept the same branding. We kept the same name, etc. We kept the same services. The business was very much, I guess, what I call prepay or a block hour business when I bought it. Customers bought time, used it for what they wanted to, etc. I introduced kind of the managed support stuff. We called it originally support plans, now they're support packages, where kind of a bunch of stuff is bundled in together, and you just pay a price, etc. And we kind of took that to market, but it was really important, and we still haven't to this day forced anybody off of anything. We've still got customers who are block hour and prepay, etc. Lots of them have moved across to managed services because they like the easiness of budgeting, they like the services that they give them, etc. So that was kind of the first thing. Making sure the guys were settled, as far as the team is concerned, and making sure that everybody understood what the journey was. And I've been really transparent. We have a team meeting at least every couple of months, and I'm honest and upfront with them what the business is doing, what we're planning to do, both operationally, financially, organisationally, etc. So again, that's kind of part about the culture thing of being transparent and honest, even with the teaming. And then yeah, the aim was to put my historical capabilities to hand, which was the operational ones. It was a great little business, but it was I'm not going to say disorganized. I'm going to go with organized chaos, I think, at the end of the day, and so I brought that kind of level of experience of running much bigger teams to it, procedures in place, standards in place, etc. A lot of the conversations in the office used to be, what's going on with this? What's going on? Where are we with that? Etc. Between the team. And now we don't really have those same level of conversations in that same way. People know what they're delivering, how they're going to deliver it. We're setting the expectations of the customer from day one, so people aren't expecting everything tomorrow, and etc. 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 And it's gone very well. We've as I say, we've managed to kind of growth. I think I can't remember what the exact numbers are, but it's somewhere between 25 and 35% both years. We're going to get, we're going to have doubled in kind of two, which is fantastic. And we just kind of want to keep on with that growth. But that said, we also have a limit to how many customers we take on at any one point in time. I don't want to break the business or the team. If we get businesses that are kind of bigger than that, kind of 50, 60, whatever it is, etc., then we tend to pass them to a really good partner we've got that we know who's much better at that, and they do the same for us in return. So from that perspective, we only kind of take on 20, 25 seats per month, generally speaking. We'll have conversations with the customers through the sales processes, like we'd love to work with you, etc. But just so you know, the slots for kind of April now are starting to tie up, etc. If you want to do it for April, that's fantastic. But we need to kind of push you and say yes or no, effectively. And in some ways that's quite good because customers feel like you're in demand, etc. And we don't do it in a nasty sales closing way, etc. But it's that whole kind of piece really of just making sure we don't. And again, I've seen it other MSPs. It's growing the business at all costs, whatever it happens to be. And we're going to sell this and we're going to sell that. It's like, no, we're very, very specific. This is our tech stack. This is what we do. This is how we do it. And we've had conversations with customers. It's like, well, we don't really kind of want to work with that. So that's fantastic. No hard feelings then, but we're probably not the partnership for you. You're probably not right for us and we're probably not right for you. And we help them find a new home that will work for them at the end of the day. One of the things we're proudest of is how we offboard customers. I've been in and around MSPs and seen an MSPs who, they'll stop service, they'll start messing about, they'll start trying to charge them a silly amount of money to offboard them, etc. The most important thing that I think we do oddly is offboarding a customer because it's the last touch point you're going to get with that customer. It's the last thing they're going to get from you. And if at the end of the day, in a year's time, it's like, you know what, they were pretty good when we left actually. So maybe this wasn't the right move. So maybe, and I've seen it more times than I care to count when someone's go, could we come back? Is that okay?
Yeah.
And they do, and we've had a couple of those the last 2 years actually, whereby so yes, that's kind of how we do things. Yeah.
That's handy. So in regards to the acquisitions, obviously when we last spoke, you said that you're obviously looking to kind of grow the business, you're looking to scale it over the next few years. Is acquisitions? Are you planning to do some more acquisitions, or are you going to try and grow organically, or kind of what's your plan of action?
So the current plan, because plans always change. The current plan,
Don't they?
the current plan is no acquisitions. The current plan is organic growth, effectively. Again, having been in and around acquisitions and spoken to people who've done acquisitions in the industry, it's like 50-50 at best, as if they work out financially, operationally, organisationally, etc. So some of them go fantastically. I know some businesses have done some fantastic acquisitions, and others I know have come close to sinking a business because it just wasn't the right fit. It wasn't the business they thought it was, or whatever it is. So no, our plan is organic growth. Just by having a great business, a great culture, and great services, and keep doing what we're doing because we kind of enjoy it, etc. And then at some point in time in the future, hopefully I can work a little bit less, and my eventual exit plan, and again I'm open and honest with this with the team, they know this, and I talk about it at peer groups and things, is my aim is to either enable a management buyout, an MBO, or potentially turn the business into like an employee ownership trust, basically to thank the people that have helped me kind of, do all right in the world at the end of the day and stuff. So that's my actual exit plan. So yeah.
Nice. That is actually handy. So in regards to kind of how you guys are, obviously you've worked at a few different MSPs, good and bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
How have you kind of found like a good way to position yourself in the market and kind of acquire customers, put yourself out there, like lead gen and marketing and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's the most difficult thing I think any MSP does is lead generation and sales at the end of the day. We're very lucky in the fact that, or I'm very lucky in the fact that the business has been around so long, it's kind of an established name, certainly in the area. There's lots of people that know of ISS. And in fact, people know it as ISS. So when we rebranded, we even made sure that we went from interactive system solutions to IT support and security. It does what it says on the tin,
Yeah.
but it still keeps the name, and that's definitely helped at the end of the day. As I said, we've got a bigger MSP up the road from us who is very nice and sends us things that aren't quite right for them, and we do the same in return wherever we can. But it's word of mouth, it's referrals, it's something we're learning to do. Haven't been fantastic. Is asking customers, is there anything else you think would be able to benefit from working with us that we could help them, etc. And that's served us pretty well. We've now brought on Alex, who's our kind of part-time marketing, and so she's been kind of ramping up our social media and additional lead generation activities, etc. But it's definitely, one of the trickiest things. I go to a peer group meeting, and I'm part of, and I've got a fairly decent network of people who work in the MSP world from my many grey wizened years, etc. And it's definitely the biggest thing that most MSPs stick with. And there seems to be kind of plateaus. There seems to be you get to kind of 1 million, and that's a bit of a struggle to get past that, etc. But then you kind of get to 3 million, and then it's a bit of a struggle. And then after 3, it seems to get easier. Which I guess is more an organisational capability thing as opposed to anything else. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd say very lucky. The business has been around forever. Lots of people know about it. Our name kind of gets out to them for referrals, and we've only just really in the last 3 to 6 months probably started doing direct marketing, as in tried to generate direct leads ourselves. We've been very lucky that we kind of have things, generally speaking, touch wood, kind of through the front door without too much effort at the moment.
Which is handy, isn't it? Yeah,
Mm.
I think that is definitely handy. What was the kind of did you always have in the back of your mind that you kind of need to do something on the marketing front, or was there like a turning point where you thought, okay, we might need to buck our ideas up a little bit?
It probably came from the peer group I go to, effectively, whereby we talk about a lot of things, and again, sales and leads are kind of part of those. And I went to a few conferences as well, and I asked, and it's been really interesting. All the people I've known or I've met who've done this journey already, who've started an MSP or bought one and built it, and maybe
Yeah,
exited or still involved in it. The one thing I can ask them is what would you do differently now than if you were doing it again. And I generally got two responses back. One of which is really boring, which is processes,
yeah,
which is get your processes written down, get people to stick to it, etc. But the second one was actually marketing and in the sales really, which was getting leads through the front door. And they've all said have at least 3 streams of marketing going at any one time. Because there'll be a period in time where this will work for a while and then it will stop. But then that one will start working for a while and it will stop. And then this one will start. For no logical reason
yeah.
whatsoever, nothing's changed. You've not changed your style, whatever. And then it will cycle back again. And it will go kind of between those 3. So we're kind of following that advice. When you get given that advice by half a dozen guys who've run pretty successful or MSPs over the years and stuff, it's probably a good idea to listen. So that's kind of the aim we're working towards.
Is there any kind of other little gems that you'd be happy to share that your fellow peers have been telling you?
Any other gems that my fellow peers have been telling me? No, I think, well, probably. There's probably lots, to be fair. But looking after your people is definitely one. And yeah, the one about kind of that initial struggle from 1 to 3 and then 3 plus is one that gets talked about a lot at the end of the day. And the most interesting one of all, and I feel this sometimes actually as a kind of an MSP owner and running a business on your own, for want of a better phrase, is sometimes kind of tricky and occasionally lonely, etc. Is that I would say actually the gem is get involved in a peer group. Because actually, I go to peer groups, and I now actually have my service desk lead goes to a service peer group, and my sales guys just getting involved in a sales peer group at the end. And it's fascinating. All 3 of us have gone to different ones, and we all come back going, they've all got the same challenges we have, or different challenges, or they've done
Really?
this before, and
Yeah,
they can give us the answer, or they can at least point us in the right direction. So if I was going to give one gem and piece of wisdom to any MSP owner, or probably any business owner, is if you can find a peer group and sector specific would be fantastic. Go to that because it gives you, the amount of times I put something on. There's a WhatsApp group, or I message individuals who I know have got experience in certain areas, etc. And it's just having people to bounce those ideas off, or go to when you're feeling a bit tired and a bit down because it's knackering around the business.
yeah, of course.
And they go, no, it's fine. We've done this before. Have you thought about this? What about this idea, etc. And it just kind of helps you keep going in those good and bad days.
And sometimes you need a bit of that, don't you?
Definitely need about
Yeah.
definitely need about that. Yeah.
And get to the next level, so to speak. What do you think needs to change, or do you think you're on the path? Do you think there's some hires or some kind of restructures? Do you think you need to spend your time on different things, or how? What do you feel like it's going to take?
So I think for us at the moment, the focus is maturing our services. So, we've literally only in the last year started doing cyber essentials with customers since I kind of took over the business. We've got our first, I don't know, half dozen, whatever the number is, through effectively. But it's now recognizing that that's a baseline. That's kind of really a baseline of where you need to be with IT security, etc. And it's really difficult. IT security is the least exciting thing to talk about in the world ever,
Yeah.
and I say that as someone who's in the industry. It's a terrible thing to sell. It's driven purely by regulatory requirements, like someone saying you have to do it because of the
And
sector you're in
everyone's
at the
like,
end of the
oh
day.
no. Yeah.
Exactly. Or driven by the perspective of something bad has happened, you feel like you probably should do something about it now when you could have done something about it a little while ago, etc. And then the final one is supply management at the end of the day, where it's being told people you're dealing with are saying, well, we really now need you to have this accreditation so we can know that your data is safe and our data that's with you is safe. So we're kind of maturing on the significantly IT cybersecurity side of things. Obviously, we're now expanding that into kind of AI and automation. That's our kind of big push, for a better phrase. I say we're not going to pushy salespeople, but that's where we think we can add the next level of benefit to our customers. We've got like an AI and automation readiness assessment we do with our customers. We go through and it gives us a really nice, easy way to put a roadmap together and say, right, these are things to think about, and again, spend time on. And again, it's not always the tricky, heavy duty stuff. It's the smaller, quicker, easier stuff, which is obviously the best wins within the business. But yeah, so those are things that we're kind of focusing on over the next year, kind of 18 months at the end of the day. And again, using those technologies ourselves in our business. So I'm hoping we're in a pretty good place as far as our services are concerned. We're constantly evaluating, constantly checking, constantly looking at what we're doing for our customers and how, and constantly trying to get feedback as well to make sure it's the right things. But now we've got again onboardings now booking out into, I think there's a one spot left for April, etc. So it appears to be working. Touch wood for now. I'm sure tomorrow that'll change because that's just the way of the life of an MSP
Of course.
business. But so far so good.
I'm glad to hear it. One more question before.
Mm.
Is there a particular hire that you think to get to that next level that you think might need to come? Is there like a leadership role, or do you think you're kind of well equipped to attack the future?
So it's an interesting one. It's probably one role, but with two faces to it. And actually, it's a business systems type. And by that, I mean someone who's
Interesting.
more in the AI and automation world,
Okay.
both to focus on our internal tools and platforms, etc., and making sure we're making the most of use of the platforms and everything like that we can to make ourselves as efficient as possible. But then again, eating our own dog food, taking that same level of capability to our customers. Now, we do it internally ourselves at the moment, etc. And we do it for myself and kind of the lead techs, etc. But it's definitely somewhere that's a fast-moving place whereby we're going to need to make sure we've got the right skilled people up as that technology continues to move forward and things. So that's probably, I think, again, I've said to the team, my expectation is our next hire is going to be someone in that AI and automation space. And realistically, as the service kind of picks up, that'll be what the hire will be, and that will then enable me to then kind of step back a little bit and let that person focus on delivering those services. Yeah,
Nice. Well, listen, Peter, that has been a very insightful conversation. I've actually done quite a lot. I appreciate it. If the audience
no
do want to
worries.
get in touch with you and find out a little bit more about ISS, where can they get in touch?
So best place is the website, which is just iss-it.co.uk. I am on LinkedIn and post all sorts of weird and crazy things, sometimes which my marketing person tells me to take down, but
Yeah,
that's fine. So have a look at me on LinkedIn, Peter Mills. You'll see my happy smiling face in the corner.
nice. I'll put your links in the description.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, if anyone wants to get in touch, give us a shout.
Thank you very much.
No worries at all.